Welcome to Ride Rehab. My name is Tyler Mann.
And I'm Thomas Kiernan.
And today we're recording this episode from inside that caged-off escalator at the Imagination Pavilion, which leads to the second floor that is no longer usable. No one is making us leave, and no one can get into us anyways. So, Ride Rehab is this podcast that we have just started because we want to talk about Disney and ways that you can fix Disney World, specifically rides and attractions that have either expanded past their lifespan, they need to be updated, or as Disney likes to coin it, rehabbed or refurbished. So, we're going to blue sky a bunch of ideas to try and fix Disney World.
These are just ideas that I'm pushing forward into the void that is... This
right, we are not
podcast.
Imagineers. We are not engineers. We're just creative people with a lot of creative ideas.
I would agree with that statement. Yes.
We are not experts.
We're not experts.
No.
Which is why immediately we're going to get called out for any shit we say.
Yeah, bring on those comments. So today we're going to be talking about Epcot, because obviously Epcot never has been what it originally was meant to be, what Walt Disney wanted, but people think that it used to be and that it can go back to the way it was before, and it honestly never will. And people need to stop saying that. Like, we can only move forward to the future, which is what really needs to happen in this very outdated park that has never had complete updates. Some attractions have, some pavilions have, some pavilions are going to in the future, but from where it's standing right now, Disney is very vague as to what they're updating. They haven't even announced what stuff is going to become, like, for example, the Universe of Energy. We know there's something going in there, but they have not told us what yet. So there's a lot of speculation, there's a lot of rumors, and why not add our own ridiculous rumors that maybe can surface on other websites? So we're going to start with Epcot. Basically, what can be done to fix it or update it or make it better, or just completely absurd, most random ideas. And we're going to start right at the entryway when you walk in. Because what's there right now, Tom?
Well, were I to guess, I would say a Holocaust memorial. But it is, in fact, some kind of advanced face...
It's like a graveyard of people who visited there.
Yes, that's what it looks like. It looks drab. I understand it's some kind of face recognition technology to a certain extent.
Back during like the Millennium Celebration, or even before that, there was a thing called Leave a Legacy, which is where people can have a photo taken and their faces would be digitally printed onto like a little metal piece. And those would be put onto these sort of like stone pillars.
These monoliths.
Yeah, which are going to be added to the front of the park. And the idea being that you can go back there years later and your face is a part of Epcot, which sounds like some kind of assimilation technique.
As much as that sounds neat, in practice, it's very clearly in practice, it's not working out.
No, because everyone walks... We went there recently. We went there for the 35th anniversary, and no one hangs around that area.
We should clarify, we did not go there specifically for the 35th anniversary. We went there on vacation and spent a week going to each of the parks.
And we were there the day of the 35th. So
yes.
we were there during the opening celebration all the way to the closing fireworks. But no one hangs around that opening area. There's nothing to do there. Compare it to other theme parks. Magic Kingdom, you have Main Street. There's a lot you can do there. There's the confectionery shop. There's the bakery. There's the Starbucks. There's the Emporium. There's tons of stuff to buy and do and see. There's characters, performers.
I was going to say, it's not necessarily... I wouldn't put it in things to do. Things to do makes me think of interactable things. I just mean there's more...
Shopping.
There's shopping. There's more things to see, rather. Or more things that you can be entertained by.
And it sets the tone. It's the Main Street that Walt remembers in his past as a child.
Yes.
And that sort of sets the tone for you're entering the world of today, yesterday, and tomorrow, and fantasy, which is what
the Magic Kingdom is
the Magic Kingdom is about. And that's sort of a call to the past, is this Main Street vibe. Epcot doesn't have that, though. Epcot is supposed to be... Maybe we should talk quickly about what Epcot was meant to be. Walt Disney wanted it to be the experimental prototype community of tomorrow, a city of the future that can run efficiently, full of new ideas and technology and scientific achievement. And it never came to pass. He passed away and no one understood this vision that he wanted. But they wanted to create the idea of like a permanent World's Fair where they can celebrate scientific achievement and human achievement and the planet Earth as a whole. And then that never came to be because they also wanted to build this world showcase of countries. And then that never came to be. So they literally pushed these two ideas together. And that's the park we have. It's just this figure eight of Future World in the front and then the World Showcase in the back. And it doesn't really have a clear vision. But people still think, Walt's vision was this and he wanted a scientific... And it never was that in the first place.
Tyler, everyone knows that Walt Disney's vision for Epcot was to have a purple dragon fart in your face to demonstrate that you can smell. Right. We'll get to Journey into Imagination on another episode.
That'll be an entire episode on
yes, Tyler has some very strong opinions on that.
So here's what I'm seeing in the area where you walk in, sort of that front area right in front of Spaceship Earth.
Yes.
Make it a World's Fair. First of all, get rid of all those gravestones. If anything, shove them off to the side, make those walls.
I was going to say, I'm sure somewhere someone will be mad that they'll be like, oh, we paid to have our faces on these ugly rocks.
Keep them. Put them around the outside.
Yeah.
Of that area. But in the middle of that area,
and maybe crazy thought, like a plaque or something to tell you what they are. So that way you don't look at it and go, oh my god, look at all these people who died while Epcot was being built or something.
Like multiple plaques so that if you walk up to any of them,
maybe
can
like
understand what it
one
is.
at the beginning and end and middle of it. Like, because I picture it like as a long row of things. The point I'm trying to make is that I would not have known, and I genuinely thought it was some kind of memorial.
Yeah. We did kind of rush past that front area, front gate area, but...
Like you said, there's nothing to do there.
There is nothing to do there. So push all those stones out of the way. Keep that tiny fountain, maybe, but have the idea of invention in the future out there. Like, have machines like Rube Goldberg machines or like wind towers or just something. Maybe like a little series of statues that represent each of the Future World attractions. Like, have like a miniature of that, or even some kind of representation of that future city somehow.
I was thinking...
I don't know how you do that, but...
For some reason, my brain, when you said statues, my brain immediately leapt to, like, great inventors of the world. Like, we have Nikola Tesla,
that'd be cool.
Albert Einstein, people who are great thinkers. Not necessarily people who were directly tied to Epcot, but people who somehow changed the world as far as we see it, as far as technology.
Yeah, and, like, Spaceship Earth is specifically achievement in communication. Like, we go through each mini era of that. We have people communicating on the walls, and then we have, like, writing, and then we have hieroglyphics. Those are out of order, obviously. But have something like that, like the wheel, like, just something...
Even maybe just, like, statues of each era of human... I say each era, but distinctive eras of human history.
And, like, mini representations of all these different achievements.
Yeah, and things from different cultures. Do you know what they're going to put there instead? They're going to put like the Avengers. They're going to put statues of the Avengers.
Oh, that'd be awful.
And in order to show it's the future, they're going to put Star Wars characters there, even though it's a galaxy far, far away, or a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away.
And that's
laser swords are the future, Tyler.
And that's the thing about Epcot. People are worried it's going to become Epcot, which is an intellectual property community of tomorrow.
Yes.
And here's the thing. I'm totally fine with intellectual properties coming in. If you can use existing stories that kids are familiar with or families are familiar with to tell them or teach them about these kinds of things, then by all means, I'm happy with that.
I think that's the most important thing. Obviously, the experimental prototype community of tomorrow isn't going to happen. The logistics of it are too much. Like, all right, let's say they find some secret documents in Walt Disney's office that's locked in a drawer somewhere, and they're like, oh, he has literally written out everything he wanted. So we have to build a community, and then somehow we have to either get this community to continually run to show people how it would work, or we would somehow have to turn it into like a ride, or like...
Or maybe a movie called Tomorrowland. You just explained the plot of Tomorrowland.
Well, but...
Because that's essentially what it is.
To a certain extent, but as Disney would see it, Epcot is too much of a socialist idea to be put into this modern day and age. Because it's about a community that runs efficiently and would somehow be self-sustaining, and presumably everyone in that would be equal. It wouldn't be like the rapture of Disney where Walt Disney's Andrew Ryan, he's like, every man must forge his own path. It's like everyone has equal access to transit. Everyone has
and that was the
an
key thing,
equal
was
income.
transportation.
Yes, and I guess you could still do that where you're like, here's the advancements we make in public transportation, but there's again, I sort of understand why they can't do Walt Disney's vision, because there's no clear vision,
Right?
and there's no way you can turn a prototype community of tomorrow into a marketable, valuable,
Like a place people actually want to come and live
exactly
in, because
it's
not a clear, like it's not established place,
yeah,
or a city that's.
I could see it as like, oh, this is because it's a prototype community. What you do is
like a resort.
A resort. You rent out a room here for however long, and you stay there. But then the problem with that is that it's probably super expensive to run and manage, and so it's only there for the cultural elite. And suddenly, this whole idea that Disney World is meant for, I'm going to put in quotations, everyone.
Yeah.
It suddenly is completely lost, and suddenly you've just got these rich people living there, and then you have a whole problem with people live there, and I'm sure that's a whole other can of worms.
Yeah. So the front gate,
the front gate, we
front
got
gate,
a little off
celebrating
track
achievements. If
we
it's
can
going to
re-edit
be,
this.
if Epcot is going to be about scientific achievement and experiments and just the world all coming together to celebrate our different cultures and communities and countries and what we've achieved or what the earth has created for us, put all that in the front gate. Make like little statues, make tiny little exhibits, make like little areas for people to actually sit and enjoy. Maybe like have some digital video screens, like make it futuristic, make it look the way Test Track currently looks.
Have something that's more than just a hallway, basically.
Yeah. Like how Main Street is not just a hallway. Animal Kingdom isn't even just a hallway. Animal Kingdom at least has some shops. There's the Wilderness Explorers there in the front. There, even right when you walk in, before you even get to the Tree of Life, there is like little tiny animal exhibits. And there was some like lizards and birds and stuff, and you go past that, and then you're in that main area leading up to Discovery Island where the Tree of Life is.
Yep.
Like, even that is like, you walk in and it's a zoo. That's basically what it is, or a zoo park, or whatever the safari park people are terming it now.
Yes.
Make that for Epcot. When you walk into Epcot, you have no idea. All you recognize is Spaceship Earth, and that's it. So that's my idea for Front Gate, is push all those gravestones of Leave a Legacy out of the way and leave some more room for like some actual proper statues of people who represent the past of innovation, the present of innovation, and what we can do to look forward to the future. Like leave an empty one so kids can stand on it and take a photo of them.
That's
as like
I was gonna say that's actually a good idea. That's
a good photo spot.
Yeah, keep that in mind, Disney. Yeah. Well, let's move on. Because...
Spaceship Earth.
Spaceship Earth.
Like the next thing.
I guess Spaceship Earth, physically speaking, is the next thing to be dealt with.
Yeah. It's pretty solid already.
It's still pretty solid because it mostly deals with the past.
Right, but the future bit is super outdated.
Well, to a certain extent. We don't get much from the future part. The future it's basically like Bill Gates built a computer out of a pizza box and some aluminum cans. And then it's like, and then the internet came. And here's some things.
Yeah, there needs to be a new scene there, right? At the end of that.
It almost feels like it. It almost feels like there should be a part where Judi Dench tells us about how at this time, or even in the late 90s, early 2000s, technology made a huge leap forward. Between 2000 and now, or even just 2010, technology leapt in, or made leaps and bounds as far as innovation.
Specifically in like the past 20 years.
Yes.
From now.
Yes.
So there could be, I think the last scene of that is like the family sitting at home watching TV before
Bill Gates invents a computer out of a pizza box and aluminum cans.
Is that scene before we see Neil Armstrong on the moon in the little TV section. I don't recall when that scene is. But
that is the scene with the people sitting in their living room. Yeah.
Right. Okay.
Because the moon landing happened before we started inventing
that scene
computers.
Needs to be updated. We need to see the scene where computers are invented. Then we need another scene next, or at least TV screens showing what people do now to communicate with like technology and social media and stuff like that.
I think it was very smart of them at the time to be like, we've invented the internet. Who knows where things will take us next?
Yeah.
And we're advancing faster than ever. We know where technology has led us now.
And we know Spaceship Earth is going to be updated because Siemens is the communication company that sponsored Spaceship Earth as well as Illuminations. They even had a little lounge on the second floor of Spaceship Earth. Or sorry, on like the
we saw it.
Community of Tomorrow.
I remember.
Or World Community, whatever the hell it's called there at the end. That area. So Siemens dropped their sponsorship, which means something's coming. Someone is going to jump in to replace Siemens, or Disney is going to redo it themselves. But it definitely needs to be updated. Those ride vehicles are clunky and noisy.
That's one of the other things.
And I'm not saying replace the track. I'm just saying...
No. An update is all it really needs.
Yeah.
It's not necessarily like... It's not like the ride is like... It's not... We're not saying it's like... this is getting into Magic Kingdom, I think, but it's not like Carousel of Progress.
Right.
Where Carousel of Progress, after the what is it, 1980s?
Yes.
After the 1980s, it feels completely outdated.
Yeah.
Because up until then, it's like, here's some historic things that happened. And then the moment you get to the future... The only interesting part of that is seeing how well they sort of predicted some of the things that we get in the future.
Good.
And that's pretty neat.
And they've updated like the video screen, what the VR looks like as 3D animation got better.
Yes.
They updated that. Anyways, we'll talk about Carousel of Progress.
We'll worry about Carousel of Progress when we do Magic
Spaceship
Kingdom,
Earth needs new ride vehicles or a new ride system on that track just to sound less as you go up it.
That's the other thing that makes it feel not like a futuristic world.
Maybe get a narrator who's charismatic.
I don't know. I like Judi Dench.
She's just very like, welcome to Spaceship Earth. Today we're going to... She's not like, this is the world as we see it today. Or maybe that could sound annoying.
That's the thing. She delivers it very flatly. She says, this is how it happened. This is what we did. And then it's like, okay, this I understand, because you're not like... The Library of Alexandria was burned, and it's not like she's trying to make it dramatic. She's just trying to tell you how it happened, which I kind of like, as opposed to if it was super emotional and dramatic.
And Judi Dench is a voice that was popular back then, it's popular now, and she still will be popular later on.
Let's hope so.
Yeah.
I'm not saying they shouldn't do new voiceover, it'd be kind of neat. There's no one, I can't think of anyone who would be as good as Judi Dench.
What about Jim Cummings?
Jim Cummings would be good. I like Jim Cummings, but I don't know.
He has like a nice like soft voice.
To be fair,
I
don't think I've ever heard Jim Cummings' normal voice. I've only ever heard him do characters.
He doesn't have one.
He doesn't?
Even Jim Cummings is a character.
The important point is that Spaceship Earth is not a big problem. It's
the touchscreen bit at the end needs to be updated.
Yes,
the little animation, first of all, the quality of the face photo that it takes of you
is so bad.
It could be way better using like some kind of face recognizing technology rather than just green screening the back of you out,
or even just like a better photograph.
Yeah.
I think it was our second time going up, because the first time it didn't even register our faces.
Yeah.
But our second time going on it flashed, and I think it got rid of my eyes.
Yeah.
It was frightening.
That out, or like chunks of your hair. If your hair is reflecting the green screen behind you.
Exactly.
But so that whole flash animation thing, that could be so much better animated.
Yeah. And
the whole like, let's add in some future things we know about right now. And it's like, okay, but we don't have flying cars, and we probably never will. So maybe looking at what real technology it'll be in like the next 20, 30 years.
I was going to say, if you're going to be like some technology we know about today, why not tell us about that technology that we know about today? I know technology is advancing faster than ever, but be like a robotic maid, similar to Roombas. I don't know. So we need to, if we're going to talk about future technology, we have to draw the parallel to modern day technology.
Right. And that's the thing about when you come out, we have sort of that futuristic community area so it had that like Ridge Racer
Yes.
game, and it had the like power thing where you push the little pods on the ground.
Mm-hmm.
It had the speed test game where you smack the button as fast as you can.
That was the one thing that I was like, okay, that's kind of neat because it's testing your reaction time and things like that.
It doesn't have to do with communication though.
Not really. I mean, spaceship.
I think it's supposed to be a demonstration of Simon's technology.
That might also be it, but even that feels outdated.
And it does, and that will only either that needs to be fixed or get rid of that entire exit building, and that'll leave so much more space around the outside. Like you can see how much space it takes up versus the rest of like where Innoventions and that main plaza is. Mm-hmm. And if you get rid of that, you'd have a lot more open space, which is what Disney plans to do. They want to get rid of these two Innoventions buildings. They want to sort of create a bigger like fountain area, and they want that basically what's within the loop of the monorail. They want all that to be updated. They want to add like these tiny little buildings, or sort of like where Club Cool is now. It's all attached to like one big building, which is Innoventions. Same thing to like the Starbucks that's there as well. And then like the Electric Umbrella restaurant that we ate at, all that is going to be gone. And Disney has not even told us what's going to be there yet. So there's so much room for like making that a World's Fair vibe.
Yes.
Like the World's Fair that Disney did when he hosted like It's a Small World and Carousel of Progress, like back in those days. Like build some of that kinetic energy. Like the fountain is great. That fountain with the stage in front of it, and the water goes up every once in a while. And
does a little magic show.
The fountain is pretty magic show. Little fountain show.
A little fountain show.
Maybe put a magic show. Who knows? Like create some more kinetic energy there. That is great, but maybe some spinning stuff, or like I don't know, like performers, like people who come out and maybe do like a performance once an hour or something. That would be good. Something like that. You had Voices of Liberty during that Epcot 35. They came out and did sort of like a tribute to Epcot. Have like people come out and do songs about the future and stuff.
Oh, I was going to say, I thought you were going to say have the Voices of Liberty come out, but I was like, aren't they specifically supposed to like? I almost said live in. They're supposed to like hang around the American Pavilion.
Yeah, and they do in the lobby. We heard them perform.
We heard them perform.
Something like that for sort of that main area. Mm-hmm. Like it wasn't there when we saw it, but there's the Muppet Mobile Labs with Dr. Bunsen Honeydew and Beaker, and they're like this sort of roving around little vehicle, and it does like little bits, and it's like, today we're going to launch off what's it called, a confetti cannon, and it's like me, and then confetti cannons shoot out, and it's like and it keeps and draws a crowd for a little bit. Bring in like other scientists, like street performers, bring in people to just demonstrate like how the volcano works, like, you know, with the vinegar and the baking soda, my first scientific stuff. Like bring people in and explain magnets and shit.
Simple little things that you can do over and over again without it becoming like costly.
And that's what's
cost effective. But...
and that's what Innoventions had. It used to have shows that explained like how Velcro works, and then it would demonstrate it by like bringing people on stage and like taping like or Velcroing little babies to them and making them like take diapers off while they're Velcro. Like that's a real show that happened.
That's interesting.
And it was all sponsor based, but like build mini individual buildings for each of these sponsors, or allow sponsors to do pop-ups like for a month and then they can leave. Like bringing people on a lot cheaper basis than what you have before, where it's like a permanent thing that just gets so outdated and then it eventually just leaves entirely.
Yes. I think that's something that perhaps was a not a hindrance, but a thought of the times, where it was like, we'll have this sponsor here, and they'll be here forever because technology's starting to slow down now. And then of course we had another huge boom, and so it was like, oh well, I guess. And of course sponsors come and go. I'm certain that
Simons.
well, I was going to say not just Simons, but I'm sure that they had sponsors who were companies that have since decreased in value or disappeared or dissolved or whatever. And so that's
You can keep the stores,
Difficult.
obviously. Like,
Oh, yeah,
the
keep
Art
the
of
stores.
Disney, keep the Starbucks, like, have them their own individual buildings, though.
Sure.
Or, like, sort of open areas. Like, don't just make it a building that's blocking Future World East and West. Because that was probably the hardest part of navigating around, was you had to go back through that main tunnel in Interventions to cross through to the next area over.
Yes.
There's no way to get back to the main area. There's no way to cross back over to, like, a different ride. Like, we needed to get to Imagination. We had to go out of our way through the middle towards the land and then go to the left. Like, there was no easy way to get around there. And I think that's something they're going to update, is just, like, the pathways. But, yeah, did you have any other suggestions for that main area?
No, I mean, obviously, if they're tearing it down...
Yeah, they
like,
already have the plans.
That's the
for it.
thing. If they're already tearing it down, there's not much we can say to be like, this could be improved by doing this, because we don't know what's coming next.
Yeah, we have no idea.
For all we know, they could tear it down and replace it with, like, I don't know, technologies of today presented by Samsung and Google, and have a bunch of other
and
phone
that would
companies.
be cool.
The only thing that worries me about having phone companies and Google sponsor things is that whenever Samsung or Sony or anything sponsors that, they always feel the need to hawk their products as well.
Yeah, like the Samsung experience in Toronto.
Yeah,
in the Eden
it's not just, it would no longer just be like, here's the technology we can do today, and here's what Samsung was able to do with this thing. It would be like, here's what Samsung was able to do, and you could have this in your pocket for only 3 easy payments of $199.99 on a 8-month payment plan, blah, 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 and there would be...
That's the whole point of the sponsorship, though.
I guess.
Is that they're able to get people to buy... Like, Test Track, Chevrolet, and then at the end of the ride, there are cars that you could legitimately buy. But no one's in front of you shoving it in your face
and
like Samsung likes to do.
Yes, and that's the thing, is that it I feel like the idea of showing how technology can advance would be lost amid the rampant commercialism. That sounds familiar to a certain a certain theme park that we're talking about right now at this immediate second.
I mean, like, Disney always wants to say... Every time you got to know when you go to Disney, you're going to have to buy stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Obviously.
Oh, no.
They're even just the accessibility, like a Magic Band, the thing that gets you on the rides and has your credit card on it and has your hotel key. They try and sell you a different version of it and little things you can put on top of it.
I understand having to buy and sell things completely. That's just how the world is.
Yeah.
If we're talking about making sure that things are, I don't want to say themed consistently, but things are consistent with the vision of what we want Epcot to be, we should try to avoid getting lost in the commercialism of modern times.
Yes.
Shall we move on?
Yeah, we should move on to the next bit. So we're going to go to Future World East here, which is where we have Universe of Energy. Now, we can't speculate anything about that. We should skip it entirely.
I guess.
Because there's something going in there. We don't know what it is. We know it's a Guardians of the Galaxy roller coaster. And we know that they're building a new little area behind it, which is going to have a show building, and they confirmed at Epcot 35. The roller coaster is going to launch out the back of the building into this new show building. Which means, and people are like, oh, that's going to be it. It's just that ride. People don't understand how big that building is. It's bigger than the size of Test Track. It's not just gonna be a queue. There is gonna be an exit area. At every ride, like Test Track, once you're done Test Track, you don't just exit the building. There's the post-show, as they call it. Mission Space had sort of like that little section where you can play that game, and you can do the little jetpack game that you did. Test Track has like the little bit area where you build your little commercial. You can do racing. You can see what cars look like. Energy is going to have that too. Energy is going to have a post-show where it either teaches people about energy a lot more. There's going to be a Guardians of the Galaxy meet and greet, which is totally fine if you want to shove something like that in. As long as, and they keep saying that they're going to bring it back to energy. They're going to talk to you about it. They keep saying this new update of Epcot is going to be more Disney, more timeless. If I don't have a doubt that they're not going to be able to add in some kind of representation of what energy is and how it works. I think They're going to be like, we got to build up energy to do this, and then we're going to go on the ride, and then they're going to be like, we did it. I think the queue is going to explain how energy works or what kind of energy they're building, and then the post-show area for that ride is going to be about other types of energy, and there's going to be like mini exhibits and stuff and how you can use energy. You can ask Peter Quill, like, how does she use energy in space? Like, maybe future technologies of energy.
That's the hope. I hope they keep as much educational stuff in there as they can. They keep as much educational stuff, and then they have the fun ride as well.
Yeah.
I'm again, it's one of those things where I don't want the educational aspect of Epcot to get lost amid the we're plugging our IP Epcot.
Yeah.
But let's move on.
Move on to what should be the Wonders of Life, but is called the Festival Center. Here's the thing. Build a festival center. Build a permanent festival center and put that in the World Showcase where all the food and wine actually is. Bring back Wonders of Life. Make a new version of Body. The reason that it went away is so vague. Like, there really is no right answer, not that I found it. But here's the thing. You can go in there, and the Body Wars Bay, like where the motion simulators are, similar to Star Tours, that bay is still in there. I'm not sure if the ride vehicles are still in there or not. But the Cranium Command attraction, which is sort of like a mini version of Inside Out, it's what Pete Docter, who directed the movie, based Inside Out on. He used to work on that attraction, I believe.
Yes.
The animatronic of this main character, Bugsby, he's still there, completely intact. Like, they refurbed him. He's still in that space. They got to bring back Cranium Command. If you're going to bring that back, Cranium Command, bring it back with the characters from Inside Out. It could not be more perfect for the Inside Out characters to explain how not only a brain works, but the rest of the body. It can be like Joy gets sucked through the tube into like the lower areas of Riley's body, like the bloodstream and the heart. Like, if that is the brain, I want to see what Riley's heart looks like.
And that was the one thing that felt like it was missing from Epcot, was we have all this technology and we have the environment and things like that, but there was no specific spot about the human body and biology and things like that.
Exactly.
And that's such an instrumental part of science that
and the world.
And the world, I guess, that felt like it was missing from a theme park dedicated to science and technology.
And imagination is already sort of about the brain, because that's where creativity and imagination comes from. But there's nothing about the rest of the body.
Exactly. There's nothing about the biology of the human body.
And the fact that this pavilion right now is just to hawk wine and chocolate,
that's kind of frustrating.
When we went there, I remember we bumped into someone taking photos, and I was pointing out where Body Wars used to be, and they're like, "Oh, is this where it is?" I was taking pictures myself, and I'm like, we just happened to be two people who also wanted to see this pavilion return properly.
I also just want to point out that place was empty.
Oh, yeah, you went right at the end of the night, too.
I guess.
But it probably is empty anyways.
I was going to say, it didn't strike me as a place that would be full of people a lot of the time. I could be wrong.
There was demonstrations and classes that they do, so that was probably earlier in the day they had a lot more people. They sometimes have celebrities come in and teach how to make, like, pies and stuff.
I'm a simple man. It just didn't seem like that big of a draw to me.
And it's not a huge pavilion. Like, it was actually fairly small, but there used to be a lot of space for attractions. You can even see the space behind it where the Cranium Command ride and then the Body Wars ride was as well. Mm-hmm. There's plenty of room for that. And you don't have to show how kids are born, but if you teach people about the human body, the heart, how blood works and everything.
Yeah, you don't need to give all the details, just enough to say, here, we're a science thing about human body.
And there was like a kids improv show that used to be in there.
That sounds about right.
I want to see that again. I want to see like that kind of live entertainment that kids and kids and adults can enjoy. A place for families to go and learn together.
What was I going to say? You don't need to be the Science Center, the Ontario Science Center, where it's like
Correct.
they have this whole section about how babies are being born and things like that. You can just be the basics of biology.
Yeah.
Here's how food gets digested. Here's how your blood works. Here's how your nervous system works. You have bones. that sort of thing.
There's a creepy skeleton living inside.
That's right. You have a skeleton inside your body.
But yeah, fix that festival center. Get rid of that.
Shall we move on?
Yeah, Mission Space. They just updated this.
I think
and it was good.
I think Mission Space is fine. Mission Space was honestly my favorite thing at Epcot when we went.
The post show, we should point out that the space travel post show game, it was emptied the 3 times we went to Epcot.
Yeah, that's unfortunate.
We played that for like an hour and no one else joined us.
Was it an hour? It was only like half an hour, I think.
I'm counting in total.
Oh, yeah, okay, fair enough.
Because we played that game a lot. There was no one there. It was
great fun. We even met the same cast member there twice.
Yeah.
And she was like, "Oh, you guys are back."
People
I think she
exit
was
that
Australian,
ride
but
and
I'm
wanna
terrible at
leave.
accents.
People exit that ride and want to leave right away. There
Yeah,
should be a
for some
better
reason.
post show to either open that area a bit more, maybe get rid of that giant game. First of all, that giant game should bring in like multiple guests
Oh yeah, that
all the time, and I don't understand why no one stops to play it.
that's the other thing. There's nothing wrong with that game. That game's a lot of fun. Like we thoroughly enjoyed ourselves.
Yeah.
But it just, for some reason, it just didn't draw people in. It's also possible that people had the whole, our next fast pass is in 1 hour. We need to be over there in 5 minutes, so that way we can be there 2 hours early to make sure we get our fast pass there on time.
Also, if someone were to try and find that normally, they wouldn't. Like the exit area or the exit doorway of Mission Space.
Yes, this is
the
also
same
true.
is the same way you would enter through to the post show area.
Yes.
So no one knows that. They just know that this is a ride. My kids should not go on it because it's scary. They move on. They don't know there's this whole other area where you can learn about space travel and using like materials when you're like in a a space suit. No one knows about that, and maybe that's where that future Mission Space restaurant is going to go, because that's happening.
Sure.
They've announced
Sure.
that. We just don't know where on that pavilion it's going to go. Right
Yeah.
now it's rumored it's going to go in where the festival center is. And I'm going to punch someone in the head if that's true, because they should not be using an entire pavilion for a space-themed restaurant. But anyways, Mission Space doesn't need a lot.
I was going to say, Mission Space is fine. Updating the actor every now and again, whatever. You don't like Gina Torres. I'm like, it.
What's her name? At the beginning, he's like, "Hi, my name is Gary Sinise," and it's like, great. And then she's like, "I'm your commander," and it's like, Commander what? Is it Commander Bob? What's your name?
Doesn't she say her name is Capcom? I know that's
isn't that like the company or the like Grand Moff? Like it's a title.
That's what I was gonna say. It's possible they were just like, let's not give them a name just because this isn't a real character. Maybe Gina Torres was like, I don't.
But on Soren, he goes, "My name's Patrick," and he used to say, "My name's Gary." Just say, "I'm your Capcom Gina." Like, who would just do that?
I don't know.
I don't trust this woman to send me to space without knowing what her name is.
Maybe somewhere some Imagineer was like, listen, it's too distracting if she pretends to be someone else. Let's just avoid, it's too distracting if Gina Torres is like, "Hi, I'm Gina," because then you're like, "Oh, it's just Gina Torres." Maybe she shouldn't say her name, and that'll help with the immersion, even though she's Gina Torres.
To be fair, if I had gone without looking up what her name was, I'd have no idea who that actress was.
I guess that's fair.
I'm not familiar with Firefly and whatever else she's in.
I was going to say, that's the only reason... Well, she's in other things, but she fits thematically with Mission Space because she's from Firefly.
Yeah.
And if we had more time on this episode, I would... Maybe Epcot Part 2 will talk about actors who could possibly be in pre-shows for Mission Space and all these things. Shall we move on to Test Track? Yeah. Test Track's fine.
Nothing.
Test Track's fine.
Test Track is fine the way it is. Test
Yes.
Track is the most futuristically updated one. It used to be, look at how we build cars and how we clunk them together in a factory. And it got seriously updated to the future. It's now, look at how we design cars for the future. Mm-hmm. Look at how cars... Here's an example prototype of what a car of the future will look like.
Yeah.
And they show multiple ones in a queue. They show how they go from like a clay model to a sketch. They show kids coming up with ideas for cars, and then we get to design a car and go on it.
Yeah. Test track is perfectly fine. Even the Chevrolet trying to hawk their products at the end.
Yeah,
that's fine because that doesn't take up too much space, and you can ignore it.
What is like this is the future of cars. This is the 2018 model, which is not even available yet. It's right here at Test Track,
and it's not distracting. The one thing that might need like a technological upgrade is their ability to green screen and Photoshop you next to your car. Because all of those photos turned out terribly.
Blurry?
They were so bad.
Yeah. That post-show is... There's not a lot to learn about creating cars there, or like where cars are in the future. Like you can sort of kind of drive one and then make a commercial, but that's more so an advertisement for Chevrolet. But that's what that space is supposed to be used for.
Whatever.
The fact that Chevrolet put money into it and put their names on it, they can do that in the post-show. I don't think there's anything wrong with that.
Where else do we have to go for Epcot?
We're not going to go to Future World West. So we've got, starting at, let's say, we're not going to do Imagination now, because that'll take a little bit of time.
That's going to take a little more time.
Let's go to the land. The land pavilion. We got Soarin'. We've got Living with the Land, which is like the greenhouse area. And we've got, oh my god, we have the Circle of Life movie.
So we didn't, straight up, when we went, we did not go see that.
Yeah, I've seen that, and it's probably the most boring thing. That's the thing we should start at. We have this beautiful theater that plays a outdated movie about just how life works in like the African tundra, and then they like block up a beaver dam on the river, and they're like, hey, Timon, you can't block that river, other animals need water. He's like, why do I care, I'm Nathan Lane. And then that's not dialogue from it, but it's just boring. It's forcing you so much to be educational.
It's less edutainment, more irritainment.
Irritation. Is that education?
Irritation and education. Yeah. That would be that smushed together.
It's not entertaining at all. And there are people out there, and it closes early. It closes like 2 hours before the pavilion closes, because no one goes in there. As we're walking by, people are waving at you. Cast members go, hello! And then expecting you to stop and look up and be like, oh, there's a thing here. You know what? Make it... I can't believe I'm saying this. Make it a Groot-themed movie. Bring in Groot to talk about plants.
Okay.
And how Groot lives with the land. If we're just blue skying things here, that's what this show is about. That will so bring in people.
I would disagree with you. I would say get rid of IPs. Have something that's like I was thinking like living with the land makes me think of Native American traditions and things like that. It would be about, I don't know, how throughout time we have lived with the land, and maybe even there's no section of any of these worlds in Magic Kingdom, Hollywood Studios, or that acknowledge the existence of Native Americans, except I guess kind of the Canadian Pavilion. So I think having something like that would be
the different types of natives across the world.
Sure, and how they interact
and how
with
they
their
lived
land.
with the land.
Yeah, you know what? That's even better, because you can get things like how the Bushmen of the Kalahari have to dig up roots to get water, and I don't know.
Who's going to be our guide? Already we have the Lion King, and no one's watching that movie. If you take out the Lion King, who's going to go see that movie?
My immediate thought was Pocahontas, but then I was like,
even better. Make it the new Lion King. Bring in those 3D animated characters. Have Beyonce as Nala telling us about native cultures.
Are you kidding? You put Beyonce in a ride, the gays will flock there.
Yeah, that's it. Just bring in Beyonce.
All those old gay men we saw at Disney World holding hands being like, it's our diamond anniversary. Oh, look at you.
That's not a bad idea, actually.
They're all going to go there. Anyway, that is literally like the just smattering of an idea.
That would actually be pretty good.
And I feel it would be a bit more grounded than the Lion King.
Yeah.
Especially with Timon and Pumbaa.
Yeah, Timon and Pumbaa are not the best people to teach you about things.
Yes.
Simba's grieving the death of his father, and their response is, hey, who cares? Just no worries. Just eat these bugs, you crazy kid. And live with us. We're gonna be your gay adopted parents. Anyways, living with the land I think is great. I think they just need to update the queue. I think the whole building is very 90s still. Like just the color scheme and sort of like the drapes that are hanging off of it, and the balloons floating in the sky.
I don't know.
Was that crazy or was that?
I don't remember.
Yeah, there was, because Soren is in there as well.
I do remember a bird got in, and that was very exciting.
Yeah, but that
yes.
whole area needs to be needs to look to the future of what the land is.
It needs to look. I say to look to the future. It needs to fit a bit more thematically.
I believe the land pavilion was originally going to have like an observation sort of vehicle that would take you up, because remember the top of the land has like this big glass ceiling on it.
I see that. Yes.
There was going to be like some kind of glass like
observation
dome, and a little vehicle would go up there.
I was going to say that
cool.
That would have been neat. The problem is that it doesn't have much to do with the land, except all you are is like looking out at Epcot.
Yeah.
It would be interesting if they had like, we've secretly placed this thing underneath the Florida swamps, and as you raise up, there's like rabid alligators snapping at the glass, and you're like, this is what the land is like. But anyways.
Oh wait, you know what?
That's me doing a bit.
Maybe get rid of living with the land and put in a Journey to the Center of the Earth ride.
I feel okay. That would fit in Magic Kingdom is it Tomorrowland or Future World?
Tomorrowland probably makes sense.
Okay, yeah, because that's more science fiction than it is.
Yeah, it's more retro future based on Jules Verne.
Yes,
current future.
Yes, that wouldn't feel proper in Epcot. Living with the land.
That being said, Living with the Land is still really good.
It's fine.
And the idea that it shows you, like, here's all the kinds of foods we create, and here's stuff that we actually make here that you can eat in Future World.
Was that Living in the Land?
Yeah, that's.
I thought that was its own ride.
Yeah, that was the Living with the Land boat ride that's in the Land Pavilion.
So wait,
did your mind just get blown?
My brain thinks of them as two separate rides. I thought there was a ride that was like Living with the Land. Here's the history of the land and things like that. And then there was another one that was here's how we genetically engineer food here at Epcot.
That's the same thing.
It's the same thing?
Yes.
Okay, never mind.
Yeah.
My brain has separated the two mentally for some reason.
That's all right. But yeah, that was that ride. And
that's pretty neat.
That one's a pretty solid ride. The effects are cool.
Yeah.
And the whole like rainforest thing, and it's weird that it's like a water-based ride that takes you through the land.
My guess,
when you have a water place right next door, but whatever.
My guess is that it's something to do with, I don't know. The fact that it's on water makes me just think like, oh, we're in tune with nature because we're using water, even though I know it's
technically a sea, it's a river.
It's a river. And you need water for life. Yeah. I don't know. That was neat.
Living with the Land is good.
Living with the Land is fine. It doesn't need much.
Soren is also fine. Soren just updated.
Yes, too. Soren is great. The only distracting thing in Soren was when you're like traveling by the Eiffel Tower or something, and it hits the curve of the screen and it curves.
That's kind of weird.
That's weird, but that's not anyone's fault. That's just the way
we
the
were
screen
sitting
is.
On like the far left of the left arm of ride vehicles that was lifting up. We were in the center.
Soren was great, and
the queue is even good, like the design of it, where it feels like you're about to go on like for a flight or for like an airplane ride. And they have that pre-show game that you play on your phone, and then sort of like the Connect ones where you move your body. Like, there's plenty to keep people busy. And that ride, it just updated. It always has long lines. I think fine. Soren is pretty solid.
Soren is solid. I liked Soren. Soren was a lot of fun. What else is there that we can
We're going to go to the last pavilion for now, which is the Seas.
Okay, the Seas.
That ride, the opening one, the Seas with Nemo and Friends, does not teach you anything.
No. That's my biggest problem with it. I was like, oh boy, learning about things that are underwater is one of my favorite things, because underwater is such a weird, crazy place. Fucking cephalopods and deep sea creatures live down there, and that's some interesting things. The ocean is one of the most interesting parts of our planet.
Yeah. And
all that ride is just retreading Finding Nemo.
And here's what it can be. It can be like Dinosaur. Dinosaur, there's the story you're going to go capture the dinosaur. But as your ride vehicle like moves to different dinosaurs, a computer's like, computer identify, and they're like, Mamadon, or whatever dinosaurs are called.
Mamadilodon.
A Theosaurus, and it points them out, and then you see what they look like. Like, you get a pretty good look at this cool animatronic before the riding vehicle moves on.
Yeah.
And you're sort of learning about different types of dinosaurs while this crazy motion vehicle is moving around.
I regret not going on Dinosaur, but I will still say that in my defense, I did feel fairly nauseous at the time.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yes, but anyways.
Do that with the seas. Like, make it Mr. Ray. Make Mr. Ray the person taking us around the sea.
I was literally about to say, you literally have a teacher character
that
could teach you about the seas.
Have him with, like, a group, and then be like, let's name the fish of the open seas.
Crazy thought. Make the ride vehicle Mr. Ray, and like you're
like a little stingray.
Yeah, like you're riding on the back of Mr. Ray, like they do in the movie.
Wait, do you mean like are you saying change the ride vehicle to be like lying down on top of a stingray?
No,
that'd be awesome.
That'd be awesome. That would be more of a motion simulator thing, similar to
Well, we can
Flight of Passage.
Ride. We're blue skying here. Let's gut that ride out.
Okay,
let's gut that Omnimover and replace it.
Well, I was gonna say something other than the stupid Little Mermaid shell thing.
And it moves a lot of people through that space.
Yeah, I really like the idea of it's you can keep Finding Nemo, just make it educational.
Yeah.
The vehicle design you're thinking of where you're lying down on it isn't very efficient for having like a speaker next to you that tells you about things. But the point I'm trying to make is that he's a perfect character to teach us about things and teach us about underwater life.
Yeah.
Like, I can easily picture a ride where it's like, follow me, and you follow him, and he's like, and here we have the thing.
You can even keep the exact visuals that the ride
absolutely.
has. Just add a narration,
yes.
like, in your ear on the clamshell. Like, it can still be like, we're looking for Nemo, and it's like, we gotta look for Nemo, kids, but let's learn things on the way. That's an anglerfish. Oh my god, it does this to eat its prey.
That's
and
an
then Marlin's
anglerfish.
Just like,
watch out!
Get away from this.
Be quiet and watch out, because it uses its light to find and attract prey.
Yeah, tell kids what it is instead of just having it on the ride.
Yeah,
or like when you're traveling on the EAC, which is a cool effect.
The EAC was very disorienting because you're traveling at the same speed as the character, so it feels like you've stopped moving.
Yeah.
But we'll get to that later because that's a Haunted Mansion thing I wanted to talk about. The Seas just needs to be educational because it's not at all at this time.
That's why I'd say move.
Except for move
the entrance. Make people walk right into that main area where the big fish tank is
and the
before
aquarium
going on the ride. Because I guess the idea is you go on the ride, like it's enticing to go on the ride, and then you exit out into this area already. Like you see what a fictional seas looks like, then slowly it turns into the real seas on the ride, and then you come out into the sort of the seas area where you can explore everything else, which is fine. And the rest of that is cool too. There's all these fish floating around. They show you how divers work and how they go up in the tube and everything.
Yeah.
And Turtle Talk is even slightly educational. You talk to Crush, but then if you don't ask him a question about how life is like under the sea or being a sea turtle, he'll just tell you things. He'll be like, hey, do you want me to teach you how to like talk like a turtle? And it's like, turtles talk like this.
The things you're describing at this exact moment are not educational because turtles don't talk, but he'll be like, on my way here, I was catching some shell. Hey, did you know that shells are made out of the same stuff as your fingernails?
You stuff.
He can still educate you. Yes,
right, and that's a really cool show. It's still really cool.
That was thoroughly impressive. I thought it was going to be like
some carnival backwater circus.
Trash. I thought it was going to be really bad, but it was very impressive. I was thoroughly convinced that Crush was alive and speaking to us.
Yeah,
as much as I could be, being the cynical old man I am.
And Finding Nemo is sort of like that IP that works because there are these characters, they are under the ocean.
Oh yeah.
Even Finding Dory, like remember there's a lot of sequences in that movie that teach you things, and it's like, well, Bailey's brain puts out a sound wave and then he can receive calls, and it's like they're legitimately teaching you about this sea creature, and it fed into the story later on too.
That's the other option, is not Mr. Ray Finding Nemo again. Change it into the
Marine Life Institute.
The Marine Life Institute, and have Sigourney Weaver tell us about things.
Have Sigourney Weaver talking.
Have real Sigourney Weaver, not fake Sigourney Weaver
like just
from
Flight of
Passage.
Knock off Sigourney Weaver. I
Yeah.
thought you meant like
Discount
have Sigourney
Sigourney
Weaver just like standing on a platform
That'd
yelling
be
at people.
Animatronic Sigourney Weaver up there telling people about things.
And the Marine Life Institute is already an area that's at other Disney parks. Like they have sort of an area there where they teach kids about the sea, and then there's a ride inside.
Yes.
I think that was the one thing we missed, was it could absolutely be the Marine Life Institute, because that area, like what the seas looks like now, is pretty open and bland.
Yeah.
Whereas the Marine Life Institute has all these, like, you see like little exhibits and things, and there's that touching tank, which we have right now at the Toronto Aquarium. They have that area where you could sort of just
the Ripley's
touch a
Aquarium.
manta ray, I believe it was.
That's fairly common at places. I think even
This is not an aquarium, though. This is a theme park where kids might just grab a fish and run off with it. Or
and
something.
that's the thing. Obviously, you can't do too much. But that's why the ride would be the Marine Life Institute and would have fake creatures in it. And then, of course, at the end, you pass by the actual aquarium they have.
Yeah.
That's full of sharks and...
They wouldn't be able to have stuff like otters and stuff. They do have it at other parks where it is legitimately a safari or a zoo type attraction or theme park.
Yeah.
This is just a single attraction. It'd be hard to maintain that kind of stuff.
Well,
But yeah.
my immediate thought was they didn't really have like an underwater section of Animal Kingdom, but we'll get that when we talk to.
Yeah, we'll do an
Talk
Animal
to.
Kingdom talk. We're gonna talk to Joe Rohde.
We're gonna. That's right.
Wouldn't that be amazing?
Special guest Joe Rohde. We took his earrings hostage, and now he's coming to get us.
We covered everything
We-
except for imagination, because I think we can do an entire episode about fixing imagination.
We can probably do an entire episode about fixing imagination, and we'll move on to World Showcase. World Showcase probably is short enough to talk. Like, we can talk about each specific pavilion, but there's more general things that could be fixed about it.
There's a lot of stuff that could be done with pavilions, which is more blue sky because nothing is there currently. We know Ratatouille's going in there, but anyways. So thank you for joining us on this episode of Ride Rehab. Once again, my name is Tyler.
And I'm Tom.
We gotta get out of this escalator and to a different place within the Imagination Pavilion. So we'll see
Before they catch us, yeah.
We'll see you on the next episode.
Goodbye.
Thanks for listening to Ride Rehab. You can subscribe and listen on iTunes, Google Play, or bookmark riderehab.com to listen on WDWNT. New episodes go up the 7th of every month. 7. Follow us on Facebook and Twitter at Ride Rehab. And now we want to hear from you. If you had infinite time and money, what would you do to Future World rides, attractions, or restaurants? Leave us comments or reviews and we'll include it in the next episode. Thanks so much for listening.